So we are back for another acceptable casualties battle report. Today we have 1,500 points of Armored Squadron against 1,500 points of Kampfgruppe Hummel playing free-for-all. We'll be back in a second to go over the list and deployment. So here we have our 1,500 points of 11th Armored Division, my Armored Squadron. The list itself is Confident Veteran from top to bottom. So let's get into it right here. So down here we have our 1IC and 2IC in their Shermans. Right above them we have 3 separate platoons of Shermans. Each one has a Firefly, and their command tank is upgraded with the 50 cal. And this platoon over here, we have an extra tank added to that. Over here, I brought the armored car platoon with the Daimler ones, and then the one sawn off that has the Piat. They also get the 2 dingoes right here that are able to branch off into their own platoon. So that can be 5 platoons on the ground. And then I also have the Typhoon with limited air support. So that's about 1,500 points. Confident vet. We'll be back in a second to go over Kampfgruppe Hummel. So here we have roughly 1,500 points of Kampfgruppe Hummel. They're going to be confident trained for the Tigers, and then all the support is SS. They're going to be fearless vet. So Vin down here has the 1IC and a Tiger. Then he has two Tiger platoons each. He brought in support some half tracks. This guy has, what's the gun upgrade on here, Vin?
The 3.7.
Sorry, so 3.7, and this whole platoon is upgraded with Faust, right?
No, the next one.
Okay.
He's the only one with the Faust right here.
Okay, and then down here, Vin brought another Grenadier platoon, and they're all upgraded with Fausts, every base. And then over here, Vin also has an SS Nebelwerfer platoon. So altogether, I think it was like 1,450. Vin couldn't find a way to squeeze in a couple extra points. But that's what we're looking at here for Kampfgruppe Hummel. We'll be back in a second to go over the deployment. So here's our deployment for free-for-all. Start going over the objectives, and then we'll start with the British and then move over to the Germans. So for the Brits, we placed our one objective down here at the entrance to the little farm, and our other objective is over here in the fields. For Vin, he placed his objective on the back side of the hill over there, and then if I could swing around, you could see he placed another objective behind the hotel on that side. For British deployment, we put our 2 dingoes over here, our 2IC. I haven't done my recce moves yet, if you guys are wondering. Our 1 platoon of Shermans is over there, tucked away out of the view of the Tigers that are down here. We placed our other platoon of Shermans up on top of the hill over there for a clean range of sight. And our other platoon with the 1IC is over there along the bushes. Down on this side, we brought our armored car platoon. I haven't done my recce move with them either. So this is what you're looking at for British deployment before recce moves. Down here for the Germans, we'll start with the half tracks. They're lined up down here on the left flank. Over here is the Nebelwerfers kind of hanging out inside the trees and forest over there. The first platoon with the 1IC of Hummels is sitting right here. The second platoon of Tiger 1s, the Hummels, are sitting right here along the fence line, and they're going to be supported by the Panzer Grenadiers with the Fausts. So this is what we're looking at here for deployment. We got a meeting engagement, so my guys count as moving, which is pretty unfortunate, but we'll try to make the best of it. So we'll be back in a second to go over top of turn 1 for the 11th Armored Division. So we are back for top of turn 1 for the Brits, and overall, this is a really good turn considering it was a meeting engagement. So in the movement phase, we kind of just kept our 2IC over there facing down the half tracks. We pushed up around that platoon that was over here. We pushed them up around that hill to kind of get a little bit of cover from the Tigers that were facing us down across the way. We swung our dingoes up, moved them up over to here. We pushed a little bit down from that hill with the 4 platoon unit of Shermans, and we kept the Firefly up top over there. And then down here with this platoon of Shermans, we kind of just moved up to the hedges there to get a little bit of cover and just get a position over here facing down the Tigers across the way over there. And with our Daimlers, we just pushed up the flank pretty hard on that side. No plane was allowed to come in because it's meeting engagement. In the shooting phase, this is where things went actually really good for us. So down here, we ended up getting a bail on one of the half tracks, so Vin had to jump out. I'm pretty sure that's how we played it right. And then the platoon itself ended up staying on the table and not doing the little retreat thing. Over here, between the 2 platoons that fired from across over there. We were able to drop smoke in front of 2 of the Tigers, and we were able to actually blow up 1 with the Firefly. Our dice were pretty hot on this platoon over here. And then up over here, the Shermans that are over here, I think we fired this Sherman and those 3 other Shermans and the Firefly down at these guys down here. And we were able to blow 1 up, and we failed all of our shots with the smoke, but the Firefly did punch through and take that one out. And then for eyes and ears, we used our Daimler up there to pull on the ground off of these guys to start the game. And then with machine gun fire, we were able to get a pin, and we killed what, 1 base or 2 bases? Okay, just 1 base from these guys down here, but they are pinned. So overall, pretty good start of the game here for the 11th Armored Division. We'll be back in a second to see if Kampfgruppe Hummel can answer. So we are back for bottom of turn 1 for the Germans. Pretty good turn overall for Vin answering the call over here. He was able to get his guy back in the half track here, and he took off with the rest of the bunch up there to get within that 16-inch range of my troops so I don't get the re-rolls. Down here, he was able to dig in the Nebelwerfers. He ended up moving up his 2 remaining Tigers there to get them out of the smoke as well. Down here, Vin got them unpinned and then decided instead of digging in, he was going to move. So he ended up pushing those guys up along the fence line over there and then kind of started to huddle around over here, and he ended up staying put with his Tiger on this side. In the shooting phase, Vin used 2 shots from staying still to shoot down there, and he wasn't able to get any hits over there. With this Tiger platoon right here, he moved up to the hill. He had 2 shots. He rolled a 5 and a 6, and then he rolled double 5s to try to pick that Firefly out. So he ended up blowing up the Firefly in the back, and then he ended up taking out one of my other Shermans down there. Everything else in the shooting phase was the Nebelwerfers. They were able to fire bombardment down here, and he was able to get a bail on the sawn-off Daimler. So that's what we're looking at right now for bottom of turn 1 for the Germans. We'll be back in a second to go over top of turn 1 for the 11th Armored. So we are back for the top of turn 2 for the Brits, and it's still going pretty good for us. We moved the armor cars up over here. We were able to unbail and jump back in the Daimler right there. We decided to keep the Dingoes right here. We kept our Shermans and Firefly section right here. They all stayed put. And then down over here, we shimmied around one of our Shermans, and then we swung the turrets around for the 2 that were over there, and the 2 IC stayed put. And then also we got the plane in down over here. So in the shooting phase, we'll start with the plane. He came in. The plane. Vin fired a bunch of MG shots that he had the AA machine guns from the half tracks that were over there. He fired a bunch of shots, ended up taking out one of my planes. So all I had was 1 left, and I rolled 2 2s with my rockets. So that was a huge waste of points right there. Then we'll just start down over here. So between the 2 IC that we have back here and the squad of Shermans that were right there that turned their guns, we were able to get 2 bails and blow up 3. Vin wasn't able to save any of the infantry guys in there, and Vin rolled to keep that platoon on the table in the half tracks. They didn't break off and leave. So that happened over there. Down here, we ended up just firing the Shermans, that one and the one over there. We stayed put, and we decided to smoke out the Tigers here and make them have to move next turn to fire off some shots. Over here, we fired our machine guns from the Dingoes and the Daimlers down into this platoon that was over here. We ended up pinning them, and we killed 1 more base. Just one more base. Yeah, Vin was pretty good with his armor saves over there.
I would say it's been gold.
Yeah, they've been pretty good. And then back up over here, the Firefly and the Shermans fired down in here. I got 2 hits with the Firefly, and I was able to blow up the other Tiger there. And I would have fired smoke with the Shermans, but like I said, the job was done before I got to rip off some rounds. So really good turn for the Brits again. Like I said, first 2 turns have been really, really good. Vin got 2 Tigers left, though, so this one's far from over. So we'll be back in a second for bottom of turn 2 for the Germans. So we are back for bottom of turn 2 for the Germans. I think we played this right with the half tracks. Vin had 2 of the half tracks that were bailed. They ended up getting sent off the table. The unit was still pinned. Vin decided to keep those half tracks off the table instead of bringing it back on, and then he sent the other ones to the rear and just dismounted, and he went to ground. They ended up not shooting over here. Everything else in movement, the two Tigers ended up moving up a little bit over here to try to get out of the way of that smoke. Down here, this platoon ended up digging in and shooting. So in the shooting phase, these guys split their fire between the dingoes and the armored cars over there. They were able to get a couple hits on the dingoes, but not do anything. And then over here, same thing. They were able to get a couple hits, but I made my saves for that. The Nebelwerfers then fired a bombardment down here, and they were able to get a bail on the command team right there for that. And then over here, Vin decided to split his fire with the Tigers, shooting at the two platoons that had the Fireflies left, and Vin missed both. So I ended up living the fight another day over there. So we'll be back in a second for top of turn 3 for the 11th Armored, and hopefully we can start tightening the noose here in this turn. So I'll be back in a flash. So we are back for the top of turn 3 for the 11th Armored. Pretty good turn over here. We ended up getting the plane back in with one bird. Let's go over the movement over here. So we ended up pushing up with the Shermans over here and the 2 IC, and we left the Firefly behind over there. Over here, we kept the one Sherman here, and then we moved up the other one that was the other side of the hill over there. Down here, we decided to push up our 3 Shermans, and we left the Firefly back there giving support fire. The dingoes that were here, we ended up pushing them all the way down the road down to here, and we supported them with the Daimlers. In the shooting phase, between the Daimlers and the dingoes, we fired a bunch of shots down here. We were able to get 3 hits, and then Vin failed one save, and then I wasn't able to dig him out with firepower. Buck up over here, the Firefly up over there with the bird down here. So the Typhoon actually first was able to come in with his rockets. I had to re-roll my successes. I was able to take out the one IC with a bail. Then the Firefly fired 2 shots from up there and was able to hit on both. Vin failed both the saves. I ended up getting 2 bails though, but Vin did the motivation test when you have multiple bails on you, and he ended up failing. And we played it with the reroll since it was the one IC to get back in, but he failed again anyway. I think we played that right, but I don't know. If you guys know better, let us know. Back up over here with the remaining Shermans, we didn't get to shoot anything because we said we were going to shoot smoke at those Tigers, and there was none left by the time we got to that. These guys right here, they fired 3 shots down into the Nebelwerfers. I ended up missing on everything. The Firefly that was left behind over there fired a couple shots into the Tiger here, and I was able to blow him up. And then over here, these 3 tanks fired a boatload of machine gun shots down here. We were able to kill one of the SS from the half-track platoon, but Vin ended up passing his motivation, but they still are pinned. So overall, really good turn. None of the Tigers left on the table, so I don't know. This is going to be a tough one for Vin. So we'll see what happens. We'll be back in a second for bottom of turn 3 for Kampfgruppe Hummel. So you're back for bottom of turn 3 for the Germans. Also on the table is SS. I figured I'd say that now. Down here, Vin in the movement phase failed to unpin and dig in the half-track unit here. So, man, this is going to be a tough one for them. They're going to get smoked.
This has been like your double one game.
Yeah. This has not been good dice-wise these past 2 turns for Vin. Movement phase, obviously Nebelwerfer stayed here, and then down here, these guys didn't move either. In the shooting phase, Vin fired one of his Panzerfausts that were in range, and then the rest of the machine guns into the Daimlers, and I think he only got 3 hits on the machine guns, missed with the Faust, and I made all the saves for that. The Nebelwerfers decided to take a shot at this juicy target down here. He was able to range in. He got 2 hits. I made the 1 save, and then the second save I failed, and Vin failed another Nebelwerfer firepower test. So it's just a bail there on the command tank for that platoon, but the 1 IC is right there. So they're pretty good overall. That's pretty much all that happened here because down there they can't even shoot. So this is what we're looking at here for bottom of turn 3. It's gonna be mop-up duty here for the Shermans as they start rolling down. So I'll be back in a flash. So we are back for top of turn 4. Pretty good turn as far as Vin holding the line on this turn. All right, so in the movement phase, we ended up pushing up these Shermans and Firefly over here. As you can see, we were able to push back and take out some bases from that platoon. It was over here in the shooting and close combat phases. Down here, we were able to get the bird in again. Only 1 plane this time. I was able to pin the unit and take out one Nebelwerfer, and then with some fire from those two Shermans over there, I was able to take out another. So there's only one Nebelwerfer left over here, and they're pinned. On this side of the table over here, we moved up the Firefly and that Sherman platoon. We could have stayed parked back. We wanted to kind of try to have a little bit of fun here. So we ended up sending in the Shermans. We sent in the armored cars for assaults. We ended up losing one tank to the Panzerfaust in defensive fire. Then we killed a base, but then Vin ended up blowing up another one of them, and then I failed my motivation with my one IC and fell back. So he's able to hold the line over there, and then over here, this is just an absolute disaster. We were able to get in. We got bailed out on the assault with one of the armored cars, and then with our other two, we missed. Vin blew up another one, passed my motivation, missed again in close combat, and then blew up the last one, so the armored cars are completely wiped out. So that's what it looks like here for the top of turn 4. I figured we'd make a push and see what would happen. We'll be back in a second for the Germans, bottom of turn 4. So we are back here for bottom of 4 for the Germans. Vin ended up passing his motivation here. I forgot to go over that. You failed to you unpinned, but you failed to dig in.
Yeah.
All right, and then Vin ended up calling up his half tracks for these two guys that are over here. With the Nebelwerfers, he failed to unpin and decided just to go to ground instead of. Well, I guess that was really the only option that you had at this point. And then down over here, Vin decided to break apart this platoon and start making a run over here at this objective, while he left one guy behind over there, stayed dug in and hold that objective. So right now is what we're looking at, going to the top of turn 5. I'll be back in a flash, see if the Brits can pull this one out. So we are back here for the top of turn 5. Shermans did their job. So up over here, we moved up to the fence line, with the dingoes. We fired a bunch of machine guns between both of these units down here, and we just shredded the platoon that was trying to make their way across the field and get over to this objective over here. We then moved up this Sherman platoon here. Since there was nobody left to shoot at, we actually swung our turrets around over here. We tried to shoot the Nebelwerfers, and we couldn't do anything over there. And then up over here, we fired our machine gun fire down into this platoon that was left over here, and we did some damage there. Vin ended up failing his motivation to keep the one remaining guy on that objective over there. And then, did you fail this one too?
No,
you just pulled him off because it was the end of the game anyway.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, Vin didn't have his one IC left, and he lost majority of his platoons on the table, so that was the end of the game. So it ended up being a British victory. The the remaining 3 bases for the Germans ended up fleeing the table. So we'll be back in a second to go over the end of game recap and kind of talk about how things went. So we're back here for the end of game recap. I guess I'll go over my plan of attack here and what I was thinking. So for the free for all, I ended up having to go first. It's a meeting engagement, so I kind of lost the ability to get that volley fire off first turn, but it really didn't make that much of a difference. But we'll go over the deployment and what I had thoughts over here. So we were doing alternating deployment. I wanted to just take my 2 IC and put him out over here just to maybe get some pressure up this flank and maybe have Vin have to commit one of his units over here to kind of deal with one of the Shermans. Because unchecked, I would have been able to probably get around and get some side shots, even though the chances would have been slim of taking some Tigers out. I still would have had a chance doing some damage with Sherman. So that was the idea, taking the 2 IC over there and then putting the other platoon over here to kind of give them the option to either swing around this hill over here and then make a play going down here and dealing with the Tigers, or just standing off and kind of doing a support gun line for the main platoon that was going to push up this fence line right down here, make a play for this objective in the middle. So yeah, that was the plan for this side of the table. The other platoon that I had back here of Shermans, I pretty much just kept them over here just to keep Vin honest on this objective over here, and then just kind of create a fire base to support those dingoes that I shot down the road over here and the Daimlers that I pushed up over here. I was kind of hoping to take those Tigers out and then maybe be able to rattle this infantry down here and make a play on this objective, mid-game. Obviously, as you can see from the carnage, the assault on the objective down here did not go that well. Vin's Vince Panzer Grenadiers with those Fausts. I mean, that was an ugly assault that I attempted. He just beat that back with a stick. It was pretty disgusting. But like I said, mid game, the plan was to get these tigers off. I think I had good dice early on as far as popping those 2 tigers on the first turn with only 3 firefly shots. That went pretty well, and the smoke from the Shermans. That played a pretty big role, especially when you got tigers on the table. I really didn't even have to think about it. I couldn't do any damage to them really, so it was pretty much just about smoking them out and taking their rate of fire out for the most part. So as a support unit, the Shermans did really good at just keeping the tigers on the move and taking out their rate of fire. And then once when they were off the table, I was able just to kind of wheel them around the table pretty much and use their machine guns like I did over here with this platoon, and then pushing them up over here and along that fence line, and then just dealing with the infantry. So the battle plan overall, it worked really well. I think a big part of it really coming together was the fact that I was able to take those tigers out on turn 1, 2 of them, and then really start to whittle down those platoons, turns 2 and 3. So yeah, overall plan, I think it worked out pretty well. But Vin, I don't know, what were you thinking as far as the defense and how you had to react to how the game went?
Well, my original plan was actually it was good in theory, but after turn 1, I was just like, well, we're just gonna sit back and try to hold off the attack. But my original idea was with the tigers, I was gonna push them up.
Oh, these 2 over here.
Yeah, then kind of get in the face of your fireflies and do the same with these tigers and kind of push up and kind of make a.
Oh, like a pincer on that middle objective?
Yeah, but the main idea was to take these guys and charge your
2 IC.
Like with my half tracks, but obviously we saw how well that went. And then it was just going to be, I was going to use my Noble Warfare to just bombard the shit out of these guys and have them follow up behind the tigers.
Like an infantry push behind.
Yeah, but it turned in, like, right after turn 1, it just turned into a defensive battle when I lost 2 tigers. I was like, well, I forgot that fireflies are amazing.
Well, yeah, they're not amazing,
yeah.
but they're. I mean, against tigers, it's a pretty nice threat to have on the table. Yeah, I think like I said, losing those 2 tigers early on was pretty rough because I mean, not only did you just lose the 2 tigers, but you lost the support fire and the real threat for those half tracks as well. Because without those tigers being able to push on the middle part of the table and do some damage, those half tracks kind of just got hung out over there, and you really didn't have anything to do any damage to those Shermans outside of assault, but you needed to get an assault range first, and as you can see, the heaping wrecks over there and the amount of fire that they took, it really wasn't going to happen once those tigers in the middle end up getting smoked out and damaged the way that they did.
And also over here with this mess with your 2 tigers destroyed in that, like that probably wouldn't have happened, like you said, in competitive play, but it was just...
Oh yeah. The game was already in hand, and I figured, you know what, I'll just make an assault down here and have some fun with it. I mean, I could have just sat back and played the let's machine gun you to death game, but
yeah,
that wouldn't have been fun. I mean, I figured, make one last hurrah, give you guys a chance of some glory, and they got it. And then they got whittled down like Swiss cheese, like they should have in the first place.
Yeah. Exactly.
So everything worked out.
The rules going down this.
Yeah. It was just one guy after the other just getting picked off. It was pretty sad. But that platoon with the Faust upgrade, I mean, they did pretty good. If you're going to hold an objective, especially against this tank list, it's worth, I think, the upgrade in points. But yeah, the Hummels. They are super cheap tigers that you can get for like 145 or 150 a pop, but having them just as confident trained, the motivation wasn't as big of a deal, but being able to hit with those fireflies at range on 5s was huge, especially with the reroll, like in the second and third turns. That's devastating. I think if you played against a list that maybe didn't have fireflies or as many options for long distance shooting with that kind of firepower, this list would probably be pretty good. But yeah, it showed a little bit of its weaknesses here, but I think it's a good list to bring out and play against some other stuff. I mean, we might do this game again. I think these 2 armies match up pretty good. It's just that first turn was just crippling for the Tigers.
Yeah, and also I would say the mission, like having you in range, like turn 1.
Oh yeah, having free for all with everybody on the table. Yeah.
I'm gonna be sitting here taking fireflies.
Yeah.
The next turn, I'm like, this is gonna suck.
Yeah, it was a rough draw, but that sometimes it happens.
Oh yeah. It's happened to both of us equally.
Yeah. So that's the end of the recap. I guess we'll wrap it up right here. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the game. Hit the like or subscribe button, all that jazz. We'll be back again next week with another battle report. Catch you guys later.